Are we on?
Yep, we're on.
Hey, Breaking Brown family, it's Yvette Carnell once again. Let's see if we can. Woo, now I'm frazzled. So let's see if we can get this to work. It's doing it again. We're gonna tell everybody to go to Facebook. I can always tell. Yeah. I can always tell when it does it on my page. So this might if this messes up again, people. If this cuts out again, if the feed cuts out again, just go to YouTube and the feed on the YouTube is at the Breaking Brown Facebook page. So if you type in Yvette Carnell or Breaking Brown, it'll bring me up. YouTube. At my YouTube page, because is YouTube still up?
Yeah, YouTube should be fine.
At my YouTube page. Okay. So it's Yvette Carnell, or type in Yvette Carnell or Breaking Brown to find me, because I don't know what's going on with the feed tonight. It's just weird. It just keeps cutting out. So go to the YouTube. So I'm gonna give you all a little time because I can't even see who's there and who's not there. But I'm gonna give everybody a little time to maybe mosey on to the YouTube. Let me actually see if I can find the link for you. YouTube. I think it's youtube.com/ycarnell.
I'm gonna post it on your wall.
So just go there for me, because I don't know. I mean I'm gonna have to look it up and figure out, I don't know. I have no idea what's going on. It's just frustrating me. So just go there and check us out. Now, are we on YouTube?
Yeah, we're on YouTube.
We got comments?
Yeah, YouTube.
Okay.
YouTube.
How's everybody doing, YouTube?
They're missing Empire for this.
Oh, you're not missing anything. Okay, so like I was saying before, I was so rudely interrupted by Facebook. Oh, YouTube Live. Before I was so rudely interrupted. There was last week we were having a conversation. Last week we were having a great conversation about, black life. We were trying to have a conversation, and something happened. Something happened. And here's what happened. We were all, like, last week's calls for the most part were the craziest thing I've ever experienced, because it was just kind of desperation to a certain extent. We had one person call in case y'all missed it. One person call in and talk about, that person called in and talked about eugenics, which is basically saying, like, all black people who have a certain IQ should marry each other. Somebody else called in and said something else that was strange. And then, it was just all of the, like, a lot of the calls, like, one of the calls was fine, but it was just, it was just something. Like, if you missed last week, you'll have to go to last week's show and look at part 1 and 2 and really understand what happened last week. So that kind of made me want to have a conversation about
Monday shows, not last week.
Monday show. Yeah, it was Monday show. Yeah. That kind of made me want to have a conversation about black pain. But we got a lot to talk about this week, so I can't just talk about that one thing, because I'm not going to see you again in terms of doing a show. I'm not going to be able to talk to you again until Monday. I may do a video, but I won't be able to talk to you or interact with you until then. So I got to fit 3 things in. We're talking about 3 things tonight, and I'm going to try to keep it short, because I know some of you came in at 9 o'clock and we weren't here, or we had technical difficulties. So what we're going to talk about, we have to talk about Trump. You all have seen what has been happening in terms of Trump, so we got to talk about that. There's no way that we can't talk about that, okay? And we also absolutely have to talk about an immigration video that I found that I think kind of breaks it down in a way that I wasn't able to break it down. And I think we have to talk about, like I said, the insanity. And that's what we're dealing with. And I found a video which I think really breaks this down in a way that I haven't seen break it down. I've been looking for an analogy for a long time, and to me, this video is the analogy kind of for black life in America. So if I just play that, hit that. Let's see.
You think I'm being typecast?
You playing?
Yeah.
I can't see.
I don't know.
Is
This cat is typecast.
It's 2 minutes long, so they
It's a fucking cat, dude. Ain't got much choice. What if he moved to a new neighborhood? You know, hung out with the poodle crowd, did poodle things, you know, become a poodle. Still be a cat, you know? But what if he convinced himself that he was a poodle and everyone else that he was a poodle? Wouldn't that make him a poodle? That's a good point. I mean, weird as shit, but that's a good point. And this whole metaphor is bullshit, yo. You hear me? You think everybody don't got a role to play? Huh? You think a white boy could have played Omar? You think you could play a president? I could. And I think we've seen the last black president for a while. I'm just saying. I think you're gonna always be playing some version of Mike. Gangster Mike, old-timer gangster Mike, southern gangster Mike. But I'm not a gangster. Everyone that knows me knows that. Self-denying gangster Mike. Look, I picked these roles. Me, I made this path for myself. Did you? Yeah, did you? Or did they choose you? You think we would be doing what we're doing if we had a choice? Huh? Face it, man. Look, we from a certain type of people that come from a type of place that look a type of way. You know what that make us? Black. Typecast. If I were typecast, I'd be in jail or dead. But I'm here. I got out. Got myself out. You sure about that? Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Now, if you all were watching that video, I'm sure you saw what I saw. Everybody who watched The Wire know that The Wire had Omar. Omar was a lot of people's favorite character from The Wire, right? That's who he was. But think about the conversation that he was having. Like, let's think about the conversation that he was having right there. Like, with himself. So he's talking to himself. He's talking to a bunch of Omars. He's having a conversation in your head, except that's what it is. So he's talking about his life or his acting career. And the other Omar, one of the Omars, he says, well, am I being typecast? Well, that's a good question. Am I being typecast? Is that what's happening to me? And another Omar says, well, maybe you could be like this cat who kind of thinks he's a dog or something. And you could just pretend.
And everyone's going to treat you like a dog.
And everybody's going to treat you like a dog because you are pretending to be a dog. Well, here is the issue. That cat in that video, that freaking cat is black people. Black people are that cat. And let me say, Yvette's calling us cats. Listen to what I'm saying. And it's even worse. It's even worse than black people just being that cat, because black people believe, we as the black community believe that, like, we don't even like being around dogs. Cats don't even like being around dogs, but they want to say, well, I'm gonna go and pretend to be a dog. You're not even gonna be happy. But let's not even go that far. What's happening is that you have a group of people saying, how can I be that person? And the real question that you're asking, whether you know it or not, the real question you're asking isn't whether or not I can be successful, or how can I be successful, or how can I make $1 million. The real question you're asking is how can I be something that I'm not. The real question you're asking is how can I be white. That's what you're asking. Anytime you ask, well, how can I do this? You're being that cat in that video. And I'm not saying that you can't be successful. I'm not saying that you can't be a successful human being.
Or how can I get people to treat me as if?
Oh yeah, how can I get people to... You're saying how can I get people to treat me like white people? That's what you're saying. That's what you're saying. And what I'm trying to say to you is that that's a problem. What I'm trying to say to you is that's a problem. See myself on the. So listen, what I'm trying to I don't know how to express this to you in a way that makes sense. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm not trying to be accusatory, but I'm telling you what your role is. And I'm telling you what they've chosen your role to be. When Omar says, well, maybe I could do this, and maybe I could do that, and I could do this, he's not understanding what his role is. He's not understanding what the job is for black men. And when the real Omar comes up with the gun, he breaks it down to him. He says, you think a white boy could play this role? No, you look like this dude. That's why you play this role. And you're going to always look like this dude. You're going to always look like a thug. You're going to always look like the dude who's in jail. It don't matter how you dress it up. You know what matters? It's what white people see. That's what white people see. They don't see a talented actor most of the time. You know, in terms of when he's walking down the street, nobody looks at him when he's walking down the street and be like, oh, he must be a talented actor. They don't see that. They see somebody who went to prison. That's what they see. And so what he's wondering in that video is how do I get white people to pick me? Well, the whole problem is that you have to be chose anyway. Like, you have to be chose by white people. That's what you have to do. That's the only way it works. You have to be chosen by white people.
People are going to be mad that you said that. So give a little bit of context.
Well, he says in there, I chose this life. And then the other Omar is like, did you? Are you sure? Because think about it. Oprah got chose. People say Oprah built this by herself. No, there was somebody white who brought her on. With 13% of the population. I keep saying that. Y'all keep forgetting. With 13% of the population, somebody brought her on board. Okay? Somebody decided that we want you in this studio. Somebody white decided we're going to give you a shot at $1 billion. You didn't make the $1 billion yourself. Okay? So that to me is the best analogy. And you have to think about what it takes to get chosen. What do you have to sacrifice to be Oprah? What do you have to sell in terms of your soul to be Oprah? What do you have to sell to be Magic Johnson when you decide to do business? What do you have to sell to get white people to choose you? What do you have to do? Because you're walking in there as a cat. You're walking into a room full of, I've said dogs, but let's even change the analogy. Let's make it wolves. You're walking into a room full of wolves, and you're a cat. But you don't even know you a cat. You don't even know you a cat. So you walking around like, in the video, he knew, like, why don't you act like a cat? Like, how can you fake and be like white people? How can you, that's what you're asking. But most of us don't even know that we walking in as cats. We think we walking in as wolves. So we look, as a cat, we looked at a wolf talking about, man, I'm finna steal his food. I'm finna take down that deer. Huh? This is a problem. You have to understand what are you doing to be like that? I mean, how much money are you spending on your hair? How much money are you spending on your life and clothes? So you think, because if I look like this, eventually nobody's gonna know I'm a cat. Eventually somebody's gonna think I'm a wolf. If I buy enough wolf stuff, if I buy enough wolf clothes, all the people gonna know, because I need to keep white people comfortable because I need white people to choose me. That's what we're doing. And so the question becomes, why don't we know who we are? Like that, I mean, I think that's one of the, that's one of the big questions. When you and let me say, people say, well, you can say to me, I know people are gonna say, well, Yvette, I'm not a cat, I'm a wolf. What? Please tell me, if you're a wolf, how so many black men get in jail? I mean, just tell me, why so many black women on welfare? If you're a wolf, you should be able to go and get for your family and take for your family, right? You should be able to go and kill that deer and drag it back home, right? Isn't that what happens? Isn't that what predators do? At what point do you understand that black people in this country are the prey and not the predator? That black people in this country, since we got here, are the ones who have been chased by the wolf, and we're not the wolf. At what point do you understand that we have been falling since we got here? But the people who are falling don't understand enough to understand that they're falling, and they think they're the wolf.
Now people are going to say, Yvette, you're being negative. We are kings. We are queens.
Man, let me tell you, you in your own eyes, right? And most of us, like, even if you look at where we come from, even if you look at the slave coast, most people, if you know what you have to have kings and queens. Do you know what you have to have, Ironman? You got to have peasants. You got to have peasants. Yeah. Kings and queens rule over empire. So what are the chances that most of us descended from kings and queens? Not likely. Not likely. And what does it matter? What does that matter anyway? Yeah. Our life is so dictated by like how we're viewed
by white capital.
By white capitalists.
Because we're 13% of the population and we have like 1% of the 1% of the land, 1 to 2% of the land. So we got to deal with where we're at. And what's the problem with fooling ourselves? Why can't we just act as if white people don't matter and act as if like you can make yourself and not have to worry about getting a paycheck from some white
Because
person?
It makes you crazy.
Right.
Like acting like white people don't matter is what makes us insane. Like when you hear people say crazy stuff like, "Well, Yvette, I could just, I could just do it for myself." Well, if you could have, you would have, Negro. If you could have by now, you would have. And I'm not saying anything to make you feel bad about yourself or where you are. But I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna point out a great Facebook comment to me where a guy said, "You know what? I stopped kind of focusing on that and I traded in this car that I was trying to use to keep up with the Joneses and I got myself a regular car and I feel kind of better. I'm relieved." That's a good thing.
Yeah, trying to pretend that you're white is expensive and stressful.
Yes. And it's very stressful. You know how stressful it is?
How stressful is it?
I mean, you're going to have to go to
you got a clip ready? Hold on.
You got to go to clip number 1. You're going to have to go to clip number 1. I really need everyone to understand that your health is at stake. I'm not telling you not to work hard. I'm not telling you not to do any of that.
But just be honest about who you are.
And be honest about a quality of life that you need and you deserve. You don't deserve to work yourself to the bone and just so what? And have no quality of life. White people have a quality of life. Not all of them, but we're not talking about, I'm so tired. Please don't come on my page, white people, and be like, well, I eat beans. I'm not saying that. Like you all, the difference between white people and black people is that you all are not flat economically. You all have the super elite, the super rich, the upper middle class, the middle class.
There are gradations.
Lower middle class. Everybody's flat. So understand the distinction. Okay? I'm not saying that. But I'm saying we have to understand where we are and how we're sacrificing our quality of life. How we're sacrificing everything. Put that clip up right there. Let me put that. If you all see that clip, let me show you all because I can't see. Right. I can't see here. But it's very interesting, the clip, because it's talking about strivers. And the title doesn't really do it justice because the title is talking about how working hard can make you sick. But it doesn't tell you that there's a disparity in terms of race in that information. So let me just read you this. The focus on black adolescents is significant. In much of this research, white Americans appear somehow to be immune to the negative health effects that accompany relentless striving. As Dr. Brody put it when telling me about the Pittsburgh study, we found this for black persons from disadvantaged backgrounds, but not white people. So wait a minute. White people are striving in their jobs and they still healthy. We striving and we dying. Striving is making us sick. Chasing these dreams is making us sick.
So a guy says, create your business or learn new trades. Now, to create your business, you need investment capital. To learn new trades, you need someone to give you a contract.
You need somebody to give you the contract, and you need some time.
Yes.
Like what is the time that black people, like the reason these strivers are sick is because, like, listen, white people can strive and still have life. They can strive and still have the stuff that they like. We're just striving because we know that if we don't, like, we can be thrown under the bus at any minute. Anything could happen to us. It's a different life for us who are strivers. And they can move on to another job easily. We know that this is our job. One of the best things about this study, if there's anything that good, people say, Yvette, what's good can come out of this? If there's anything good that can come out of this, it's that black people stop being such strivers.
Yeah.
You are striving yourselves to death. Like I said, that doesn't mean work hard. I think hard work is good for the soul. But that doesn't mean you go in something and you fake it all day and you work 18 hours and you do all this stuff because you believe that you're going to be that attorney that sits in that corner office because you believe blah, 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 blah. And then you don't even see your kid grow up. Ask yourself. And the things that white people will make you do in these companies, white people will throw you under the bus quicker than anybody else. They will bring you in just to throw you under the bus. They will bring you into the company just so they can blame it on the black guy or the black woman. That's what they'll do. So I think because everything is a double-edged sword. I think racism gives us an opportunity to kind of take a step back and be like, why do I have a job, or why am I but why am I pushing so hard?
Right.
Why am I staying so late?
Well, the story is
sacrificing my family.
The story is that if you're exceptional black person, you can and should make it. All you have to do is be like Obama. We have a politics.
Obama never worked twice as hard as anybody.
Yeah.
Like they tell regular black people, you have to work twice as hard. Obama never worked twice as hard as anybody. He's one of people going. I think he's a lazy guy. I don't. That has nothing to do with the fact that he's just gotten over because he's a smooth, right, slick talking guy. It's not nothing to do with being black. Oh, he called a black man. It's not about him being black. It's about the fact that that's who he is.
And he never really fought for black people. So he never really lived that hard life. But the idea that you have a politics built around teaching black kids to be exceptional, like you're creating strivers. You're creating stressors. And that's just not fair to black people. They should be able to be like regular. They should be able to be normal and work a regular job. They shouldn't have to be exceptional. And having a politics saying, you can make it if you're a math prodigy. That's not the story we should be telling our kids. That the only way they can make it is to be a math prodigy. You shouldn't have to be like a genius.
You shouldn't. You should not have to be a genius to make it. But that's who we pattern ourselves after. We don't want to just at a certain point, maybe you want to just have a good life because you don't think about what striving means. We don't think about what striving means. And you say, well, Yvette, what do you mean? What are you talking about? What striving means? It means a lot of times you don't have time with your family. It means a lot of times you don't have time with the people that you love. It means it means a worse quality of life for you.
It means you might end up being downwardly mobile because you weren't as good of a parent as you could have been.
And you didn't teach your kids.
Right.
That's what it means. I don't know. One of the things.
Bring it back to black pain.
Yeah, and that's what causes black pain, right? I mean, that's one of the causes of black pains. I'm doing all this stuff. I'm not getting ahead. And so eventually what happens to black people, we just start grasping at straws. We don't realize that everything that happened to us because this thing happened to us.
Yes.
Life is not one lifetime. I keep saying it for a reason. I want it to come in. Life is not just one lifetime. This is three. You're looking at 3-4 lifetimes, and how that created your life here today. And that was something that was done to us. That's nothing that we did. That's not a lack of hard work. We work for free. That's working pretty hard. So this is something that was done to us. So when you look at something like this that is done to a community, what do you expect? What do you expect? You think that you're supposed to, and we tend to treat, the dominant culture as if their parents. We have a certain expectation. Well, they're expecting this of us and we got to do better. Who said so? There was if you go to my page, there's a great graphic I put up yesterday about the number of lynchings. All the way up into the 1960s. Lynching black people up into the 60s. And you're going to tell me, how long ago was 1964? How long ago was that? You're going to tell me, that's so far away from a century. And you're going to tell me where we should be now? Based on what? Based on who? And I will say one thing to you. A wound takes a far longer time to heal than it took to inflict it. It's just like if somebody cuts you with a razor right now. That cut only took a few seconds for that to be inflicted. It's going to take a much longer time for you to heal that cut. It's going to take a much longer time, even if all things were equal and we were getting reparations and affirmative action. It's going to take a longer time to heal that cut, than it took to inflict it. Think about how long this stuff happened to us and how long that would take to heal.
Yeah.
You think about that's like 1,200 years you're looking at. And you have people telling us right now we should be over it, we should have moved on. Says who?
And how broad. Like there's never been a real black middle class. Like how broad. And the effect of that on
somebody said 53 years. Yeah. But you have to, like, I think black people could lighten up on themselves and ourselves. The problem is, too many of us is like, well, lighten up on yourself. We had ancestors that died in this country working for free. Well, we had people even in peonage. Look up if you go there, look up slavery by another name. Look up YouTube, look up slavery by another name. They had us on peonage farms. Mostly black men on peonage farms working for free. That's still slavery, but they don't count that. That's still slavery in the 1940s. Still enslaved in this country. And you let these people tell you that you can do it for yourself all the time and let them skirt the responsibility for what they did. I don't care. Even if we never got reparations, you're not going to skirt responsibility for me and make me think that this is my fault. My mama worked on a sharecropper farm. You're not going to make me think that, it's her fault or it's my fault. Screw you. Like, at a certain point, we just got to know that, like, all of this stuff they keep telling us, they're just full of it. They're just full of it. And at a certain point, you have to just take that and acknowledge that. And just say, I know that these people are full of it. You have to do that. Right. And they're not going to impact how I feel about myself. They're not going to impact how I feel about my family. They're lying to me day in and day out, and they're making me miserable. Right. Like, you have to just come into your own self. And you were talking about that, Irie, like, just have to, like, independently of like what the white community thinks, just independently thinking for yourself and understanding who you are, regardless of what they say. And
even if who you are is broke, there's nothing wrong with it. Just be honest about who you are is broke, and who you are is like, and you're spending too much money trying to pretend that you're not broke. Like,
because we don't tell the whole story.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think I'm gonna, one of the books I have a book I want to write where you don't tell the whole story. We don't tell the whole story, so we don't even know that we're suffering because we go around, other people be like, oh, it's good, it's all right, I'm making it. No, you ain't. You're facing foreclosure. Shut up. And maybe somebody will help you if you will start telling the truth. Then we got too many of us that are too selfish. Right. I need my space. You're not in a place to tell somebody you need your space. Need your space how? Like a group, we're not the kind of group where you can say, I need my space. We're not that group. We should be helping each other wherever we can. If somebody needs to buy some groceries, now I understand this somebody who just, you done robbed about 5 people and so you in jail. You've been making, hey, pump your brakes. But you can't be where we are and not say, and be saying, I need my space. You're just trying to live again like white people. So, I think that's just strange. But I can't spend too much time on this topic. This is going to be a series, though. We're going to continue addressing this. But I want you to watch that video and tell me if we ain't that cat.
Yeah, well, keep this in mind, because when you said we're going the way of the dodo bird, someone else on YouTube just said, yeah, we're looking at black genocide. And in the interview Antonio did with Byron Allen, he basically said this is black genocide. That's what he basically said. Yeah. Like, we can't survive in the situation that these people are putting us in. That's what he said. That's a big deal. That's a big deal.
That's a big deal.
And it's going to start coming up in all of these non-obvious ways, with desperation and people are going to think I did everything right, yet I'm broke, and the people I thought had money, turns out they were lying to me.
Well, it's like an example you gave one time. You gave an example about choice, didn't you? and about like, we feel that we have choice, and it's kind of like, I think the example you gave was like, you walk into the grocery store and the only thing that's there is cereal, and you want broccoli, you want some vegetables, but it's only cereal. And people be like, well, you got choice. Well, that's not real choice.
Well, you got 500 different brands of cereal.
Yeah, and but it's cereal.
Yes.
It's sugary bullshit.
That's the problem.
But that's what they give you, and that's what America does. Well, you all have a choice. You shouldn't make such bad decisions. You should that's not the choice I needed. The choice that we needed was to be free when everybody else was amassing wealth in this country. That's the choice that could have benefited us. If we had been free and with money, which would have meant we would have had to been white. That's what that would have meant. And everybody doesn't understand the positionality here, right? White people don't exist unless we're black. So the only way that they're special and that they have money is because we're here. And because we occupy the bottom. That's the only way this works. And that's why I keep telling you that black failure is the engine that runs this country. Like, that's the way this works. What point? What point do you have to be a white person? There's no black people. No, you need something. And we can't even
Well, now you have illegal immigrants to do your work for you and keep their head down. So we don't even need black people anymore. Speaking of immigrants. So we don't even need black people anymore.
That's a great segue, Aaron.
Yeah.
That's a great segue.
So do we need black people anymore?
No.
Uh-oh.
No, these people are replacing us. And I have a clip. I want you to listen to this clip. It's only 50 seconds long. Just listen to this clip, and I want you to listen to what this white man says about white poor people. And I want you to think about black people. If he'll say this about white poor people, what will he not say about black people? And this is Bill Kristol. He was a neocon. He's one of the ones who took us into Iraq, but he's important because he is an insider. Yeah. He's one of the ones who takes Americans on these great adventures, and people listen to him. So just listen to this.
Look, to be totally honest, if things are so bad as you say with the white working class, don't you want to get new Americans in who aren't going to be? I'm serious. You can make a case that this is going on too long and this is too crazy, probably, and I hope this thing isn't being videotaped or ever shown anywhere. Whatever tiny pathetic future I have is going to be totally collapsed. You can make a case that America has been great because every I think John Adams said this at the beginning, right? Basically, if you're in a free society, a capitalist society, after 2, 3, 4 generations of hard work, everyone becomes kind of decadent, lazy, spoiled, whatever. And then luckily, you have these waves of people coming in from Italy and Ireland and Russia and now Mexico who really want to work hard and really want to succeed and really want their kids to live better lives than them and aren't sort of clipping coupons or hoping that they can hang on. And meanwhile, we grew up with spoiled kids and so forth. So in that respect, I don't know why this moment is that different from the early 20th century or the mid-19th century.
Somebody else a chance to ask a question at this point.
Don't you want to rebut me briefly, though? You want to say,
No.
Okay, next. That's enough. I'll be quiet now. Look, to be totally honest, if things are so bad as you say,
did you hear what he just said about those white people?
New Americans in.
Did you hear what this white man said about white people?
I'm serious.
He said,
you can make a case that this is going on too long.
The reason, what he just said to you is the reason we import immigrants to this country.
Videotaped or ever shown anywhere. Whatever tiny pathetic future I have.
The reason we import immigrants to this country.
You can make a case that America
is so that we can have labor that's desperate and cheap. What he's basically saying is just like Americans aren't desperate enough anymore. Once they've gotten the quality of life, they're not desperate enough anymore. So we need to import desperate workers. And that's why we bring them here. He's basically in favor.
He's not telling a lie either.
No, he's not telling a lie.
He's not telling any lies.
He's basically in favor of a slavetocracy. That's what he's in favor of. He's in favor of a slavetocracy. What do I mean? I mean bringing in people, a lot of people who are desperate, more desperate than Americans at least,
from the early
to
20th
work.
century.
And since they have less rights, you can't, as an illegal immigrant, you can't exercise any rights in this country.
Okay,
you can't do it. You're here illegal. They could boot you off. You can't do that. We can't as Americans. So they're diluting our claim, and they're doing this on purpose. This isn't about, like people say, we're a country of immigrants. Yeah, but we're a country of immigrants for a very specific reason.
I hope this thing isn't being videotaped or ever shown anywhere.
I mean,
whatever tiny pathetic future I have is going to be.
The audio is distracting or something like that.
You can make a case that America has been great because every.
Okay, I think John Adams said this. Somebody said this. Somebody said that the audio was acting up. Is the audio still acting up? People, let me know on YouTube.
2, 3, 4 generations.
Stop the clip, so the clip is still running.
Okay.
Did we stop the clip?
Okay, I can fix that.
You can still hear it. It's playing.
Here we go. You're back.
Okay, is the clip off? Is the clip playing now, y'all? Okay. Somebody said, Army, fix it. Yeah, that's right, Army. Goddamn it. Somebody said, damn, about time. I'm just right. Goddamn, get on him. Get on Army. Goddamn. Americans, after they feel Americans have got too comfortable. Now, Bill Kristol, there's nobody more comfortable than Bill Kristol. There's nobody leading a more, did you see his little tummy when he was talking? There's nobody leading a more decadent life of wine and cheese than Bill Kristol.
I'm not going to lie. All right, so I was working at a bookstore before I was the funky academic. Bill Kristol comes in. And I think, so Bill Kristol walks in, he comes down the stairs. I look at him and say, oh, that's a guy from TV who looks like Richard Dreyfuss. And it's Bill Kristol, he looks like Richard Dreyfuss. And then he comes in and I'm about to say, oh yeah, you're the guy who looks like Richard Dreyfuss. And it's Bill Kristol. And then we start talking politics and now we don't talk about education. He's a dick. Like
course he is.
He's absolutely.
Of course he is.
He's the most Richard Dreyfuss looking. He's a midget too, little chubby dude, and like he's a jerk.
But of course he is. But he's telling you, he's admitting to something here. Like he is admitting we bring these people in as replacements. These people are great for capital holders. If you have money to hire illegal immigrants, they're great for you because they're cheap and they're desperate. And we don't want to deal with Americans because after Americans work for a while, after we bring in immigrants too, after they have a few generations, we don't want to deal with them no more. Because they have rights and they have their children and their citizens. So we need to bring in more desperate labor. The whole immigrant, we are a country of immigrants, yes, but because we want people to be desperate. And that's the whole thing. We need people to be desperate. And that's what capital needs. Let me make the distinction though. That's what capital and capitalism needs. I don't need that. You don't need that. Yeah. That's not good for us. That's not good for us. That's good for other people. So let me find out. Are you all still getting me? Somebody said it was off. So
it's got to be on. Yeah, it's good.
It's good. So listen. This is what I want everyone to kind of understand. This is what I want everybody. Somebody said Japan has no immigration. Screw them. It's survival of the fittest. Well, in capitalism, it kind of is, isn't it? Isn't it survival of the fittest? I mean, we don't live in a world.
That's not good for black people. That's not good for because we don't want this. We don't want America to turn into that. That's not good for us.
Yeah, but it is. Like, but the thing is, we don't want it that way, but it kind of is that way. Like,
we're prey.
My thing is, we can fix it. We can move forward to fix it in our own time and try to organize and do all of that. But it doesn't benefit us. Like if you want to fix the lives that these people live in places like Honduras and these poor countries, if you want to fix that stuff, you fix that stuff by fixing the third world. You don't fix that stuff by bringing the third world here. That's not how you fix it. Right. That's not how you fix it. If you want to fix that, then you get people to go into those countries and you get people to kind of organize that labor.
Yeah.
Right? And so make them more American in terms of they have rights and they have stuff they can do. You don't do it the other way. That's not how it works. But these people have you convinced that in order to do this, what you got to do is just be in favor of all immigration. As if that fixes anything where these people came from. And Mexico is different because Mexico has kind of gone up in terms of wages in a lot of places where we've gone down. It's inverse. It's an inverse thing. Wages flatten out here and they go up slightly there. Still not where they need to be, but even when you're talking about desperate people, even when you're talking about like places from Honduras and people like that, you don't fix it by saying, well, we're gonna let those immigrants come here because you're only gonna touch probably a few immigrants. How many Hondurans do we have in this country versus how many who are still back in their home countries? It's like charity. In the sense of the only thing it does is make us feel good. Right? That's the only thing it does. Like if you they'll tell you on the news, oh, this is a wonderful charity. You're feeding one little African boy. And that's wonderful what you're doing. But they don't tell you that his whole village is still starving to death. They don't tell you that. They don't tell you any of that. They don't tell you that you've only impacted one person. They don't tell you that the role that government in the West has played in that and how you can really change that boy's life. Immigration isn't the solution. You're fighting for capital holders right now. That's what you're fighting for, and that's a problem. It isn't about hating immigrants. It isn't about hating immigrants. It's about wanting the way you fix this is to make their home country better. Like and none of this fixes their home country.
Yeah. Huh? Organize them and keep them there. And yeah.
A new bunch of that's what all they want, just a new bunch of desperate workers every so often.
That is America. That is
and put up did you I mean oh God, I mean you see the Hillary Clinton clip. You see the Hillary Clinton before her assassination. What we're talking about right here is if you really want to fix like Honduras, like maybe you elect politicians who, I don't know, were not accused by that country's advocates of having a role in a coup that destabilized their country. Maybe you do that. One of the things that struck me during the so-called Muslim ban was how upset liberals were. And And I ask myself, what is more offensive? Bombing Muslims or having them delayed at airports? I'm just trying to figure it out. Because Obama bombed them, and I'm sure Trump is going to do the same. But nobody was in an uproar when we were making the rubble bounce, and literally making the rubble bounce in Yemen. Nobody was in an uproar. But the minute we make these people wait at airports, then it's a problem. Like maybe the problem is us. Maybe the problem is that we have it all wrong, and we have it all set up all, in a way that doesn't make sense. I mean, I think, Ari said something very important earlier. He said we tend to mistake charity for justice. And I think that's true. I think that's what we do. And
especially white liberals.
Yeah, and I think we need to understand that bringing the third world to this country does not benefit the natives of this country. Depressing wages does not benefit the natives of this country. Like, none of that benefits us. And I think we have to, especially as African Americans, we have to ask a serious question in terms of what benefits us. What is it that makes our lives better? What is it that makes our lives okay? And I think, I mean, you can go to the clip number. I'm going to bring up clip number 3 in a second. Because I think it's a very good, and you have to kind of bear with me, people, but it's a good illustration. It's kind of long, but it's a good illustration. And we can end it on that. I'll talk about it for a second, but it's a good illustration of where we are and why the kind of immigration that we're talking about, just bringing a few people in from poor countries, doesn't do anything but benefit people who have money. And the best way to, and I've said this before, but the best way to look at immigration is a redistribution of wealth, right? We're redistributing wealth from people. Okay.
Some people say that mass immigration into the United States can help reduce world poverty. Is that true? Well, no, it's not. And let me show you why. This gumball represents the 1 million legal immigrants that the United States has taken every year on average since 1990. Now, who in the world deserves our humanitarian compassion? The World Bank has one measure of the desperately poor of the world. They make less than $2 a day. And how many people make less than $2 a day in the world? Well, let's start with Africa. In Africa alone, there are 650 million people who make less than $2 a day. 650 million. And in India, another 890 million people, desperately poor. China adds another 480 million people, making less than $2 a day. And unfortunately, the rest of Asia has a heartbreaking 810 million people who the World Bank says make less than $2 a day. And finally, there's 105 million of Latin America's population that are desperately poor. All told, the World Bank says there are 3 billion people in the world. 3 billion people who are desperately poor, making less than $2 a day. That's 3,000 gumballs. And every year, we take 1 million and suggest that we've somehow made a humanitarian difference. Of course, we don't pull our immigrants from these desperately poor populations, do we? These people are too poor, too sick, too disconnected to make it here as immigrants. We tend to pull our immigrants out of the better off poor of the world. And Mexico tends to define the type of immigrant that we bring here because the plurality of people come from Mexico. And Mexico is poor. How many people in the world live in countries that have average incomes lower than that of Mexico? And the World Bank tells us that that number is these 3 billion plus another 2.6 billion people. 5.6 billion people in the world who live in countries with average incomes below that of Mexico. That's 5,600 gumballs. And so what is it that the elites are telling us? They're telling us that when we take this 1 million immigrants, that we somehow or another are tackling world poverty. And we have to do it regardless of the effect on our unemployed, the working poor, the most vulnerable members of our society, regardless of the effect on our natural resources. Even if we went by the most radical proposals in Washington, which are to actually double our immigration to 2 million a year, which would totally overwhelm our physical, natural, and social infrastructures, we couldn't make a noticeable difference. And we may be really hurting the impoverished people of the world because the million that we do take are among the most energetic, often the better educated, certainly the most dissatisfied people that if they did not immigrate would be the agents for change to improve the lot of all the people in these countries. The true heroes in the global humanitarian field are the people in these countries who have the wherewithal to immigrate to another country, but instead stay in their countries to apply their skills to help their fellow countrymen. Unfortunately, our immigration system tends to entice these very type of people to abandon their countrymen. The impossibility of making even a dent is actually worse than it looks here. Because last year, when we took 1 million immigrants, these countries added, births over deaths, 80 million more people into the impoverished population. And this year, Congress is bringing in 1 million legal immigrants. And this year, according to the United Nations, these countries are expected to add another 80 million people. And next year, you can be quite sure that Congress, unless stopped by the American voters, will bring in another 1 million immigrants. And these countries, unfortunately, will be adding another 80 million people into these impoverished nations. We could take 5 million a year, but we'd never get ahead of what's happening in these countries. Not in this century. Don't you see? Immigration can never be an effective or significant way to deal with the suffering people of the world. They have to be helped where they live. 99.9% of them will never be able to immigrate to a rich country. There's no hope for that. They have to bloom where they're planted. The only place that 99.9% of these people can be helped is where they live. Let's help them there.
Woo, black people. Black people. Did y'all see that? Did y'all, somebody said, I was reading the comments. Did we get it off? I was reading the comments when y'all were talking, and somebody said he brought some Mexican jumping beans. That was bubble gum. People got into argument spot. But listen, let me just say, black people, we are being convinced that we're not being moral if we don't allow immigrants into, I call it pro-open borders. That's what we're being convinced of. What this man needs bubblegum drop showed is that that's not true. You're still living the vast majority of people poor. And the people that you bring in are just good for people who are capital holders, which is not us. And it drives down wages. That's a really big deal. That's detrimental. There's no humanitarian reason to be pro-open borders. Because you're still leaving the vast majority of them poor.
The Pete Brown is the one honest man on YouTube. Thank you, Pete Brown. Pete Brown says, I know one black man who's not broke. I only know one black man who's not broke.
I'm trying to think.
I mean, come on, I have a lot of things, but I'm not broke. But like, just admit, most people, you know one. Like, of your friend set, you probably know one or two. And like, you don't know who's lying. I was talking to this cat. He's big in the black fraternities, and he was like, I arrange gatherings for black fraternities. I'm not going to name which one. So everyone comes together, and they're all just lying. And
then I was just like, somebody, let me just, why am I a capitalist vampire though? Anyway, I don't know. How did I get to be a capitalist? Lord have mercy. Listen, I'm the one saying don't bring the people here for the capitalists to take advantage of. Make them pay money. Because they do America, if they work with America, they're going to have to pay money. If they work with us, if they hire us, they got to pay money. We have rights. There's some things still that you can't do to us. That's a big deal. And so people ask for solutions. This is one of the solutions. One of the solutions that we can't have open borders. That's one thing that we can't have because it's not good for us. We have to start looking at things politically in terms of what is good for our economic bottom line. And open borders just isn't good for our economic bottom line. You don't like I don't understand how you can ask me after this conversation, what is the solution? This is one solution.
Right.
A second solution is understanding where you are. You can't change anything until you understand who you are. Right. I've been changing my, messing around with my diet lately. And one of the things that I found is that you have to be transparent. You can't lie to yourself. If you only worked out 3 days a week, stop telling yourself, I worked out every day this week. Keep a notebook. I think all black people should keep a diary. Keep a diary. Keep a diary of everything. When you were happy, when you were sad, when you had money, when you didn't have money, and go back and review that. Be honest with yourself.
And be honest with your friends, too.
Yes, be honest with everybody in your life.
Yeah.
So that we can have an accurate assessment of where we are.
And there's no shame. There's no shame. This is one reason we do the show. There's no shame in being broke. You're broke because you're the descendants of slaves in a country that hates black people.
Yeah,
and that's fine.
And the propaganda has made it to hate black people over and over and over and over again. That's what the propaganda is. The propaganda is always about hating black people. Black women are welfare queens. Black men are thugs. Like, that is the propaganda.
If your guy can't take you out, you need to put him out.
Yeah, put out your kids. He a freeloader. You don't think the fact that he can't find a job right now, what's wrong with him? Maybe he's got something going on, or I think those are two of the things that we have to look at in terms of like immigration. And I think we have to have political solutions as well. Like, immigration is one of my political solutions. Open border doesn't benefit black people economically, so that's that. So I think we have to start looking at stuff cold instead of looking at stuff from a moral standpoint. I'm not looking at anything from a moral standpoint anymore like I used to. I used to do that. I tell everybody all the time. When I was in my 20s, like, that's what I did. Like, I was all pro-immigrant. I felt like, oh my God, but I now understand when I look at the data. Listen, the best thing for an immigrant is for their country to be better.
Or the moral,
be a refugee.
Or the moral thing is for black people to start like being a little bit harder on our allies. Like, if this is what, like, we need to start like holding liberals and liberal white people, especially liberal white women, we need to start holding them to task.
Bring that fire.
So if they got all that feeling for immigrants, that means we're going to have to cut them off.
I can't be there for you. I can't show up for you.
I can't show up for you.
If you can't show up for me, we got to start being hardcore. Like, those are the solutions. We have to stop we have to start playing hardball. Yes. We just can't show up because and passively show up and be like, well, I had to vote this, I had to vote that. We gotta let them know we're not gonna vote for you unless you promise to do something specifically to put money in our pockets. We're not gonna vote for you because you're not as bad as the Republican. I'll let it all burn down if I don't get nothing. If I'm broke, I'll let it all go. I don't care.
And look, like, people say, well, you got to stand up for the LGBT community. It's like, I don't have any problem with the LGBT.
I don't have to do anything.
I don't have any problem with the LGBT community, but I'm not standing up for anybody unless the LGBT community stands up for me. So if they come out for reparations, then I'll be for it. I'll be for anything. If white women want me to wear
queer people for reparations.
Queer people for reparations. And then I'll stand up for you. If they do that, then I'll stand up. And same, I'll wear a pink bow. I'm not afraid of wearing a pink bow.
You ain't afraid of pink?
I'm not afraid of wearing pink. I'll wear pink anything. If like white women started like a big reparation pull, I'll wear a pink bow for breast cancer.
White women for reparations.
Yes, white women.
Liberal white women for reparations.
Liberal white women for reparations. I will wear all the pink breast cancer stuff you want. Yeah. I'll be Susan G. Komen.
Everywhere.
For Christmas, I'll be Susan G. For Thanksgiving, I'll be
Santa Claus.
Yeah.
All right, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, if they come out for reparations, I'll be a good ally, but they have to go first. We're done going first.
We're done going first. And I think the stupidest thing somebody told me during the Obama years was this. This was the stupidest thing somebody ever said.
I'll put on a pussycat hat. White women come out for reparations.
I'll put on a pussycat.
They gotta come out.
No, those hats was pussycat hats.
Those are pussycat hats. I'll do it if they come out for reparations loud and first. But until that...
And put some money behind the white people. LGBT friends and white women, put some money behind it.
Put some money behind it.
I don't want no words because you come up with money for everything else. All your other stuff, you came up with money for it. I want you to come up with some money for this. This is another solution. Solution number 2. We gotta be real with these people that call us allies. We can't go around when Hillary Clinton was running for office talking about I know she's a sister because her man cheated on her. So you see your life and your sister, you see your connection with Hillary Clinton through being cheated on. Is that how you view connection with other people?
Well, she put a lot of black women on stage.
Yeah, and then they gone. What they at?
Exactly. They're like the other girls from Girlfriends.
Yeah,
the ones
We don't see nobody but Tracy Ellis Ross, who I call Tracy Silverstein because that's her name. You can look that up.
Right. The mothers of the movement now are broke and still back in the.
Yeah, because they were just used as props.
Yeah.
They were used as props for Hillary.
By our allies. You mean Hillary didn't start a fund for them?
Child, Hillary ain't started no fun. Hillary ain't started no fun for nobody but Hillary and Bill. They don't care. They don't care, and I think
allies don't care.
But like I was saying, the stupidest thing I was told during the Obama years, when he came out in favor of gay marriage, somebody called him to me and said, "Well, black people are gay too." I know, but the point of the matter is this is one thing I need black people to understand: the most consequential thing in your life is your blackness. That is the single most consequential thing in your life. There is nothing more consequential. There is nothing that dictates your life more and dictates the outcomes in your life and the success and failures in your life than you being descended from a slave. There is nothing else. And that is what should be primary. The minute you stop making that primary in your life, you cause problems in your life and you cause problems for other black people when you start putting that stuff ahead. So that's what I want people to understand. No matter who you are, I want you to understand that your race is most consequential. It's not our fault. People are like, well, why are you focusing so much on race? I didn't. They did. When they put people in slaves, they did. I didn't do that. How am I focusing on it? I'm not the one who did that. I didn't make my mama from a sharecropper farm. I didn't make my dad black. I didn't do that. You know, I tell the story, but my daddy was talking about like he went somewhere and there was a picture of him in a scrapbook and him and my mom and they were smiling. And I said, Daddy, I look good right there. And my dad said, yeah, you know, back then that was the only place a nigga could eat. I didn't do that. I didn't cause that. They did that to us. They made race central and that it is what it is now. So, I mean, it is what it is, you know. I don't know how you can be an ally. I don't know. And that's what we do. We kind of just fall in line. I think if you want to talk solutions, black people got to stop falling in line. But I'm not going to stay too long. on that because I want to, you know, I even say my allies, the one wearing the white women for reparations t-shirt. Yeah, what that t-shirt at? Who said that?
That's a good way to pick out who your ally is.
How many of those t-shirts you think we gonna sell?
I'm just saying, if you want to know who your ally is, a good way would be the one wearing that t-shirt. It's the one wearing the white women for reparations t-shirt. For black reparations, yeah. Because that's what an ally would look like. That's what an ally would do.
That's what we do. We always show up for their stuff. It was black women at the march talking and stuff. We show up for your stuff, but you'll never show up.
But you know what they weren't talking about?
What?
Reparations.
Doing the affirmative action decision. All these white women get affirmative action. They wasn't showing up. They wasn't on the steps of the Supreme Court. Go ahead on. I don't want to be bothered until you can do some stuff.
All right. Take some calls.
No. I want to say one more thing. I want to say one more thing, and I want to make it quick. I'm gonna make it quick. I'm gonna make this quick, black people. We have to at least take 8 minutes. I think we have 8 minutes for us an hour. We have to at least. Somebody said, why were you in DC? I was meeting I was meeting with the progressives for immigration reform. And having conversations with them about doing some stuff that I hope will be in the interest of my community. So, you know, so we had a good meeting, and I'm gonna keep you all updated. About what's going on with that, but that's what I was doing. That's what I was doing in DC, and so I'm back now. What I want to say about Trump is this: I'm gonna try to make it real quick, but I think because I'm not gonna be able. We are gonna take calls. The call line is full already.
Yeah, we didn't even tell people the number, but the call line is full.
Yeah, we didn't even tell people the number. Y'all don't have to remember the number because these people come in here quick. What I'm trying to say is I want to cover the whole Michael Flynn thing real quick, because by the time we do another show on Monday, this will be old news. So one of the things that occurs to me, in terms of this kind of, I've been playing around with this in my head for a very long time, because one of the things that I know enough to know what I don't know, and I don't know. Like this Michael Flynn thing is something that I don't know. Like it could be the case that he had an extensive conversation with the Russians or something like that, and we just don't know, and that's being hidden from us. But one of the things that occurs to me is that, you know, I'm reading several reports, and I'm reading several reports about all of this. And one of the things that occurs to me is that if you go to clip number 6, Army, like he didn't even get a chance to see the transcripts. And for those of you who don't understand this, Michael Flynn was going to be NSA, was NSA. Head of, you know, this is who he was, NSA. He was head of NSA about, this is who he was. And the media and people who were leaking from the Trump administration brought up the fact that he had a conversation with Russia, with some Russian ambassadors that mentioned sanctions that wasn't covered before and wasn't addressed before. He supposedly left Vice President Mike Pence, because one of the things that you find can you get us back up? Okay, I think we're back, people. I think we're back. So, here we go. Michael Flynn, NSA, ousted, accused of lying, accused of coordinating with the Russians. Flynn has been accused of all these things. Now, mind you, Trump administration told him not to even talk to the media to defend himself at first. Okay? He said he was told, and if you go to, there's a great, I think we have this clip. I think it's clip number 6. I think we have this clip.
I got the Pentagon one up. Okay.
Get the clip number 6. There's a very, if you look at there was a great Bloomberg View article today, which pointed out some stuff that the mainstream media just is not covering in regards to what's happening. Okay? In terms of these leaks, let's just have a few seconds to talk about how unprecedented that is. It says normally intercepts of U.S. officials and citizens are some of the most tightly held government secrets. This is for good reason. Selectively disclosing details of private conversations monitored by the FBI or NSA gives the permanent state the power to destroy reputations from the cloak of anonymity. This is what police states do. Okay? And think about this. Representative Devin Nunes, the Republican chairman of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, told me Monday that he saw the leaks about Flynn's conversation with Keys as part of the pattern. There does appear to be a well-orchestrated effort to attack Flynn and others in the administration, he said. From the leaking of the phone calls between the president and foreign leaders to what appears to be high-level FISA court information, to the leaking of American citizens being denied security clearances. These people are just, let me tell you, what I'm trying to figure out is why the leaks are happening. But Trump, whether it's they think he's too temperamental, or whether they think Trump has problems, or what, the point of the matter though is that these people are undermining and subverting Trump's administration unlike anything I've ever seen. I've never seen anything like this. I really have never seen anything like this.
Like I said, it might be pre the Kennedy coup or the Kennedy assassination. Like I don't know.
It could be, but I think, like, if you ask me, like, right now, Yvette, like, what do you think? Like, you know, what do you think? I think
Trump needs a taster. I think Trump needs to watch out getting poisoned is what I think.
I think so. Because, listen, I think before I thought it was just like capitalist versus capitalist. But it's deeper than that. This is new. I call them new nationalists because Flynn used to be a nationalist, right? Because he got kicked out of the DIA, and they're providing a number of reasons for why they kicked him out. If you read Dirty Wars, and there's a new organization in there, right? It starts with a J. I can't remember off the top of my head, but there's a new organization in there, And Flynn helped create that. And there's some jockeying going on for power in there too. Because they never like the fact the CIA fighting the FBI, then there's new things coming up. There's all kind of jockeying for power going on that don't even involve us. Doesn't involve us at all.
Yes.
Right?
Be clear about this, black people. We're not in this fight. Our job is not to get hurt.
Yeah.
Yes.
When elephants fight, only the grass get hurt.
and we're grass in this one.
And human beings, I mean, America's a grass. We really grass. So you look at this. You look at this guy. You look at this guy who was going to be the cornerstone of the Trump administration in terms of foreign policy and turning up, and even in terms, even when you look at why he befriended Russia. Even when you look at why people say Trump is too friendly with Russia, even when you look at why, doesn't it make sense? Because this is not the Russia of old. People keep talking about Russia like it's the Russia for now. It's not. I mean, it's like the Russia back in the day. It's not. This is not the Russia that Kennedy was going back and forth with. This is not that same country. Go if you want to prove that to yourself, go and look up Russia statistics versus American statistics. Go and look it up. If you go and look it up, one thing that you'll see is that we dwarf them in every category. So what I'm seeing is a lot of fear-mongering and propaganda around Russia because Trump wanted to get friendly with Russia in terms of dealing with Syria and all sorts of things. He didn't want to freeze Russia out. And I see a lot of coalescing around energy and resources because I think what some people are picking up on is the fact that, people in Trump's position and people in national security is that, if you're there, I mean, Google peak oil. There are a lot of people who believe we reached peak oil. And so what people are doing, what America is doing in terms of what Trump is doing, not America, what Trump is doing, it seems like he's about to make an oil grab. And somebody said we need an enemy. That's true. But it seems like he got all these energy people in place. Why do you have so many energy people in place, Trump? I think he's going to make a grab for resources. Because everybody sees what's coming. This is nothing but a fight for resources. If you're an empire, that's what you do. And I think Trump sees that as a significant way of bringing jobs back to America and bringing resources back to America. I think there are other factions who want to go the neoliberal way, and I'm not sure if either one of these things is going to work. I'm not sure if either one of these plans is going to work, but I think the neocons and the new nationalists are fighting. There are some people who believe it's time to close the borders. It's time to put America first, and it's even time to take on black people. Because let me tell you what's happening. What you have to understand, if you don't understand anything else I say here today, is that America's in decline. A lot of stuff that we got was because it was kind of an echo of after the war. We're talking about everything from World War II to Vietnam. We built stuff and all that kind of stuff. We had an economy that worked. Ever since the late 1970s, early 1980s, wages have been stagnant in this country. So what you have is a lot of the stuff that we had was kind of a residual effect from when we had a good economy. And we're in decline now, and the powers that be know we're in decline. Trump's people know we're in decline. So what does that mean? That means we're in trouble. And everybody knows we're in trouble. And they're trying to cut off everything, all the leeches. And I'm not trying to be mean, but they're trying to cut off everything that costs government money. And that includes Mexicans, that includes us. Okay? So they don't want to pay no more. But I'm always in favor of pushing them to pay, but they don't want to pay no more. So we have this clash. And what that means for us, I'm not going to go along too long. What that means for us is instability. If you ask me what that means for black people, it's instability. And that's going to be our problem. Our problem is going to be instability. I think it froze up again. But our problem is going to be instability. That's the problem that we're going to have. And there's a great article. And you can put this up. You can put this up from our clip number 7. There's a great article if you want to go read it.
Yeah, I got it up.
It's by The Intercept, and it talks about instability, and it talks about what we're going to be facing. As or what the world is going to be facing. Now the video tries to make it like this is only about third world countries. I don't buy it at all.
But Trina has all right, so the nation's going to be more unstable. Trina has a good question. When have we ever been stable?
Never.
So
we've never been stable. We can only get more unstable.
We can only get more unstable. The thing is,
except for a lot of black men and some black women, but who have had to live in cages.
Right.
That's awful.
Right.
But
The prison.
those or you know, we have like our black communities who live in ghettos, but there is still something, you know, you're in a country that's relatively, like, you know, stuff is going to be open.
Right.
You know,
the
like,
power works and
yeah.
Actually, black people didn't get water for a long time in Detroit, but yeah.
Yeah, we just did the Flint.
Well, Flint's got leaded water. Detroit, they just cut the water off for a while.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, I remember. Especially if you couldn't pay the bill, they were just like, you can't pay the bill.
Sorry. Nope.
That's it.
Yeah.
You don't get no water.
So I think stories like that are going to be more and more.
I think you're gonna see stories like that. I think you're gonna see some. There was a great article about water scarcity that I shared a while back. You know, there are you know, if you put up that clip 7,
That was clip 7, yeah.
So I mean, there are, the Intercept article. The Intercept article is talking about instability in the third world. They're talking about instability in third world countries, and one of the things they point to is poverty. We got poverty here. Lack of jobs. We got lack of jobs here. All this stuff, and how all of that stuff is going to create an environment of unrest. And the Pentagon is preparing for it by 2030. 2030 ain't that long, and I think it's going to come quicker, because all this depends on what happens with the Trump administration. A lot of it in terms of jobs, in terms of all kinds of stuff. Jobs here, whether we bring jobs home, we got so many unemployed people in this country. So a lot of that depends on that. So, you know, the one thing I think, if, you know, for me, my expectation is more instability and more uncertainty. And that's just kind of what I'm looking for. And I think if the military, because the letter that was leaked was from the military, if the military is planning for this, then this is happening. The only question to be asked is, how many countries is it happening in? And will we be included? And I think we will be.
Yeah. But the more cohesive the politics, because the better our politics, the longer we can stay out.
Well, there's a great book called Bowling Alone that everybody should kind of read, because what it talks about, the memo from the military also talks about the fact that these people when they're like all these ethnic differences, there's more distrust, and that was in Bowling Alone, and that creates all kind of fractions. People say diversity is our strength. I'm not so sure about that, but get that book, read it, and we'll talk about it.
All right.
So, ready to take some calls?
Yeah, let's do it. We didn't even say the number, but we've been full up. We'll go here.
Hey, Yvette.
Hey.
Hey. I love the show tonight. Again, you're on point as usual. I just wanted to keep it brief and say I think what you're seeing now with Trump is what politicians kind of aspire to be, which is famous, secure financially. So it's this shakeup right now. You got these old politicians, whether it's Democrats or Republicans, all kind of knowing that he wants to replace them with all his business friends. Lisa McMahon, the education woman. He wants to replace all these old, tired politicians with business people. So now you got a real resistance from the deep state and the people. I think he underestimated how brainwashed the American people would be and not fight him this long on it. So, I mean, I don't know how it's going to play out, but I think right now it's black folks, again, I'm on my timeline of seeing black folks posting ICE checkpoints and telling people to be careful, and this is against their own best interest. So we just got a confused state right now, that's all I can say. But good show, and yeah, keep it going.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Somebody just pointed out the military command I was talking about in terms of Michael Flynn is JSOC. JSOC, JSOC, I think JSOC is the one I was talking about. And in terms of Bowling Alone, the book itself kind of covers the way Americans have become alienated. But he wrote another article later on about immigration. So while I got that on my mind, but thank you, caller. I appreciate it.
Anonymous.
I mean, your pen don't work. You're killing me. Hello.
Greetings. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Great. Listen, Yvette, I want to tell you that I've been listening to hours and hours of you and Army's commentary.
Oh, good.
And I really appreciate it. I appreciate the fact that you don't have any sacred cows, whether it be John Lewis or Barack Obama. I really appreciated how iconoclastic you are. And the fact that we have to really be realistic about the fact that morality applies to a group of creatures. it's a biological function for light creatures. And when you find that you're being frozen out, then morality doesn't apply because apparently those creatures do not consider you themselves. And then, but let me just say that I appreciate it. But I wanted to get clear on some things. I've listened to hours and hours. And it seems to me that you have made an argument that black people in this part of the world called the United States are under the conditions that we're under, largely because of the legacy of, really basically because of the legacy of slavery, whether it be wealth or connections to that wealth, et cetera, et cetera. I'm confused by that, so can you clarify that? And the reason I'm confused by it is because if that is the case, how does one explain the condition of black people all over the world, whether it be in Indonesia, Fiji, the Philippines, Africa? A lot of those places, we have not been slaves. So how do you explain that?
In one word.
You mean
there's one word for it.
Colonialism is the word for it. I think what happens, and this is one thing I want to point out too. Black people are 13% of the population. Like, you have colonialism in other countries, and you have black people there who suffered under colonialism, right? But they were still the majority. Like, what? Like, nobody, like, none of those countries, like, have to, like, got free, and then, like, in Reconstruction, they got left alone. Okay, and Jim Crow was economic. Jim Crow was just an effort to shut us out economically. That's why you saw so many business people get hung. Like, once they sent the white people packing, like, the West still came in and did coups and all sorts of things. And you still see abject poverty in a lot of these countries. Most of these, you still see too much. But they don't have to deal with being the minority where an active group or government or whatever is actively, like, in their country and doing things to them day in and day out. They can destabilize you from elsewhere and keep you poor, and they're doing that in a lot of countries. But there's a limit to what can happen to you when they're outside of your country. Like, there's no white police officer going to pull over somebody in Ghana. Like, that's just not going to happen. So they're not going to have the police brutality and some other aspects of it. So there's something that just comes with being here in close proximity to the people who once enslaved you.
And being the minority population.
Yeah, being a minority.
Right. So globally, you can talk about colonialism.
It sounds to me like what you just said.
Go ahead, Colin.
Well, globally, it sounds to me that you just... Yeah, it sounds to me like you just made an argument that it isn't slavery, because there are all these other reasons that are just related to people mistreating black people all over the globe. That it isn't slavery per se, and so that even if we weren't slaves like these other people all these other black peoples all over the world, we would still be the subject of a whole lot of mistreatment. And so I don't know. It just seems to me that you just
but that's a hypothetical. I didn't at all. Like that's a hypothetical. Like, you can make the case that, like, if we were not slaves, that we would have had to deal with something else that was not slavery. But in this country, what we dealt with was slavery. In other countries, they dealt with colonialism, and there were manifestations from that. In this country, slavery was our thing. I can't deal with the hypothetical of, well, something else could have happened and something else might have happened. This is what happened to us. This is the real thing that happened to us, and it explains our lack of wealth transfers. It explains our lack of money. It explains Jim Crow, Reconstruction, all of that stuff. So I can't speak hypothetically about, well, something else probably could have or would have happened to us. Slavery was in other countries too. You look at Haiti, you look at all these places. I can't speak to that. I can only speak to what happened to black people in this country and what was the consequence of that.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I won't argue on that. Can I ask one more question?
Sure, go ahead.
Clear on something. I did. Okay. I heard you say on the program that you were on, I think 2 programs previous to this one, the one that was before the one that Irony hosted, that families cannot get TANF, or what's called welfare, temporary aid to needy families, or Section 8 if they have a man in the household. And I'm just wondering, what is your source for that statement? Because that's not my understanding of how it works.
Well, I'll put something up later. I don't
know. I've worked for a few nonprofits.
No, it's a state. It can possibly be state to state. But I've known people who've lost their stuff because, like, he's not supposed to be living there. Yeah,
I just know for the nonprofits I've worked with in transitional housing, it's for mothers and children.
Yeah.
But those are private nonprofits.
But that's turned over to the state, so it can be one where you remember the thing about making this into block grants is that you turn so much over into the state. So if we don't have, like, part of that's what that's what welfare reform was. It was to turn this over to the states. They can do what they want to do with it. So you don't have a uniform way to do anything anymore.
Yeah. Different
So we're
work
both
requirements.
just speaking from like what we know and who we know. I'm East California. I'm from Georgia. And we know people from a bunch of different places.
Right.
So what I'm saying is that, if you left it federal without making it block grants, we would all have a uniform standard. Right. The reason it's so scattered is because this just is what it is.
That's great. And it's hard to organize against because each state has different welfare requirements and some have work requirements.
Yeah, you can't.
So thank you for your time.
Thanks, Carl. I appreciate it.
And tell your friends.
All right, thank you.
Keep it moving. Hello, caller.
Hello?
Hello, caller.
Hello?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
All right, caller. We got a lot of people on the line.
Yes, caller. Go ahead.
Turn off your phone or something. Come on.
Or your laptop. Or your computer. Turn your computer down or off.
Let's get talking. You're on. I'm about to cut her off.
Okay.
404 Atlanta. Do you want to risk it?
Why you always tell somebody for a letter go call? You can bring him in.
I don't know. These might be your people.
I will hope my people would. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, I'm here.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey. Hey, yeah. Hey, Yvette, it's Doug. I called in before.
How you doing?
Just want to say love your show. I'm going to get down to it.
Okay.
So, I'm going to get down to it. So, anyways, about how folks are talking about how, we're trying to be like white people. Like, you're spot on with that because just give you a little. So, I kind of grew up, was, went to a predominantly white school, had a lot of, white friends, didn't really go to school with a lot of black kids until I got older. And, the way my parents raised me up in the suburbs, you have to act a certain way or whatnot. And, so you kind of try to be, like the white folks, but, you're not. So you get treated differently, try to be like the black folks, but you don't, I guess, act traditionally black. So you're kind of outside of that. So you have a lot of folks that I've noticed like that other folks that are growing up like kind of like myself, they see themselves when they look at the black folks, they kind of have a bitterness about, how they might have had interactions with other black folks that were, I guess, traditionally black, so to speak. And they kind of hold that against them and say like, well, I can be better than that, that I'm going to be this striver and I'm going to, rise above, I'm going to prove them wrong or whatever, and just end up hurting themselves. So, that's definitely a problem. Moving on from that to talk about the, what's going on in the world. So, yeah, I mean, there's, with the deep state and with the stuff going on overseas, like, yeah, I mean, the instability that we're seeing, I mean, it's unprecedented. And, I mean, if you think, like, even if you look at the military, they've been investing a lot of research and stuff into how to fight in urban environments because that's where resources are. So definitely, I think, yeah, Trump's going to make a resource grab. You're spot on with that. And you're going to see, fights overseas somewhere will be, some kind of, us versus Russia, China. I don't know about that, but the problem is a lot of that stuff that we see happen overseas, those tactics, those weapons, those technology, eventually ends up coming back home at some point. Like you can look at that throughout history, at least since World War II, whatever we've used overseas as far as tactics and things, that eventually it comes back home, and normally it comes back home as used on like groups that are petitioning government like to get resources in, like I'm not getting my fair share.
I appreciate.
So yeah, that.
No, you're right, caller. I appreciate you calling in. I appreciate that. I mean, I think chickens do come home to roost. I don't think he's wrong about that.
Keep going.
Yeah, you keep going. Somebody said my uncle got Section 8. See, it's different in different states.
No,
I'm talking about public housing though. I'm not saying Section 8, but I'm talking about public housing. I've known people who get public housing and they can't like
the guy can't move back.
Yeah. That was actually, you remember when Thomas, the Republican Thomas Sowell made that kind of argument about how it breaks up the black family and stuff like that. But there's like now it's different everywhere. So
there's no private charities that will only work with mothers.
Yeah,
and
they will
kids
only work. Yeah, there are a lot of stuff that will only work with mothers with kids. You can't, not just like a woman either. Like so many stuff is geared towards like you got to have a kid. So
all right, caller, you on?
Thank you, caller.
No, sure, you're on. New caller. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Caller 10, you're on. 561, you're on.
Hello?
Yes, you're here. You're on. Hello.
Yes, 561, you're
Hello?
on. Yes.
Yes.
Hi, Yvette.
Yes.
Hey, good evening. Good evening. It's Mr. If you're not at the table, you're on the menu. How you doing this evening?
Yeah. That was
Oh,
a great. I found that in the YouTube comments from you. Yeah, if you're not on it at the table, you're on the menu. I'm keeping
You're
that
not
one.
sitting on the table. You're not sitting at the
Right.
table. You're on the
Hey,
menu.
I just wanted to offer you and Army some encouragement and tell you, please keep doing what you're doing. I love the show. A lot of your videos, especially the 10 to 15 minute shorts, I take them, I share them with people, and I love what you're doing as far as saying that we need to hold our so-called allies accountable, because I always see black folks out caping for everybody else, but when we have legitimate issues and concerns, I don't see them out there caping for us. And I'm going to say something that some people may not like, but I'm going to say it. I was glad when Mitch McConnell, and I'm no fan of his, shut down Elizabeth Warren in the Senate. And I'm going to tell you why. Because every time our so-called allies want to push their agenda, they invoke the black experience in America. And what do we get out of it? Nothing. We need to hold these people accountable every time they go to invoke the black experience in America to push their agenda. We need to check them and make sure that, hey, if you're going to invoke the black experience in America, you need to be there standing up for us. You don't just get to hijack our experiences and push your agenda and leave us with empty hands or leave us hanging.
Nah, you're right. You're right about that. I think you're exactly right.
Yeah, let's spend a few minutes on that.
And then I'm looking at something else here, too. I've noticed that President Trump is continuing to meet with CEOs. He met with the CEO of Intel Corporation, okay? And we know, we should all know what they do. They're the leading computer chip manufacturer for CPUs. And they're talking about bringing a bunch of jobs here to the U.S. from overseas. And one of the things that we as black people need to do, we need to get a hold of our elected officials, especially the Congressional Black Caucus, and tell them, look, you all need to get off of this impeach Trump mess and start positioning yourselves,
because he is our president,
trying to lure some of those jobs to your districts so that your constituents can get some of those good high-paying manufacturing jobs.
You know, caller,
Thank you, Caller.
Thank you, caller. I appreciate that. When I did the black agenda, one of the things I asked for was to ask Trump for a lot of these jobs, in fact, to come back to go to what I call red alert districts. A red alert district is a district like, you know, you're looking at Detroit, you're looking at Chicago, where it's in collapse. You know, that's what I need. And I wanted to name those areas, red alert areas, and have Trump say, listen, we're going to try to move a lot of these companies, but, you know, you can't get them to do that. But let me just say, I know that Elizabeth Warren used Coretta Scott King's letter, and that's what she did too. They using up our political capital in a way that does not really benefit us. How does that benefit me?
That's a problem. I have a huge problem, because where was Elizabeth Warren? You remember that speech Elizabeth Warren said that we need to make sure black people get jobs and that we need to fight for reparations? Oh, no. Okay, so she didn't make that speech.
She just stunts. She's just stunting. Like, Elizabeth Warren ain't nothing but stunts. She just gets out there and stunts, and then you just like,
she shuts up when the fight starts.
No, when Bernie was talking about Medicaid and all that stuff, she wasn't nowhere to be found. She could have changed the whole trajectory by throwing her support behind Bernie, and now she supported Hillary Clinton. Now she up there. And do you know, I saw this little, there's some little white girl on MSNBC, and she put up a thing talking about we need to bring Hillary back in and impeach Trump. And I'm saying, like, I have one question. How many times do y'all want Hillary to lose? Because she would just lose again. Like, how many times y'all want her to lose? Like, how embarrassed do y'all want to make this white woman? Like, do y'all don't do that to Miss Hillary? She's gonna lose again. But, you know, I agree. I think that, you know, the CBC is talking about not my president. Well, he kind of is.
Yeah,
And
I need you to do your job, CBC.
Yeah, and I mean, your job, most of the CBC has a mostly black, for far as I know, mostly black, constituency. Help get stuff for black people instead of just being obnoxious all the time. That's a problem. A bunch of obnoxious, grandstanding black people. I done seen Elijah Cummings on TV more times I've seen Elijah Cummings in my life. And your daughter works for Lyft or drives for Uber or something. Stop talking to me like you something. You got some kind of power. If you had some kind of pull, your daughter wouldn't be driving around strangers in her car. They just hitchhiking. Your daughter's driving around hitchhikers, and you want to talk to me like you got some kind of power. Get off my TV.
Let's keep it going.
Hello?
Hello?
Hi, I'm calling in from Illinois. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I want to take all of the topics, quickly. So we're talking about black insanity, attempted Trump coup, and immigration. So I want to start with the immigration piece because I thought it was an important point that you brought up when you talked about how today's immigration mimics early immigration, first wave, second wave, and all of that. So to put that in perspective, I want to talk about ethnic succession, how when immigrants first came over, the second wave came over and replaced the original immigrants in the entry ports that they came in. So they were used to kind of do the dirty jobs that the first immigrants came over here to do. Once they succeeded in society, the next wave came over and did those dirty jobs. We're seeing that now. So I think that's the best analogy that you can use for immigrants coming over now and they're destabilizing markets because you can pay them on little to no wages, and so we're sitting home hungry because we don't have to compete with them. So it's the same idea, and it's called within the social sciences ethnic succession. If anyone wanted to research that.
It's called ethnic what?
I talked to what the woman caller called in and asked about men being in a household to receive benefits. That is linked to drug policy and things, and it's actually felons. So let's say that after a felon comes out of jail and he is released, the actual cases on this, if he is found to be in a household that receives welfare benefits, some form of state funding, they are punished with eviction. They are punished with loss of resources. And this is every state because it's still federal law. If you have a felon that was convicted, let's say, of drugs, right? Mm-hmm. So we know now this affects mostly black people in urban areas because we're a product of, these drug policies. And look what they've done to our communities. These guys go to jail for nonviolent drug charges. When they come home, they now a felon, or maybe it was gun possession, whatever. If they try to go back home with baby mama, or they try to go home to mama, and it's found out that you have a convicted felon within your unit that you're receiving assistance, that's what I think that the lady needed clarification on. Are you with me?
Okay, I'm hearing you. I'm with you.
Okay, so that's the part that I think that the answer that she was looking for. Okay. Now, to the final piece with the attempted coup with Trump, and you're saying you didn't really understand the General Flynn piece, or what are they really fighting for? Mm-hmm. I think I heard a saying a long time ago, and that was my sociology dictates my psychology. Mm-hmm. And pretty much what that means is where I'm located in society often provides the lens or the glasses upon which I interpret my reality, right? So kind of like that piece that you always talk about that I think came from Anthony, where I'm located tends to provide the view while I'm looking at the elephant, if you will, or whatever. So if I'm a poor person, I see things from that lens. If I'm rich, I see things from that lens. If I'm educated, I tend to see things from that lens. You see where I'm going with that? So I think with this Flynn piece, what's probably you're missing, and you're very educated woman, I think what you're missing is white nationalists are kind of looking at this from a make America great again by get those niggers out of here, get those Mexicans out of here. They want America to be great again like it was when we were slaves. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? So this piece with Flynn, that I think you're not picking up on, because of course it's capitalist fighting capitalism, but you can't see all of this attack is coming up under Trump, when he's doing things that kind of seems like it's protecting black interests. Well, the other piece is, no, it's not. It really isn't. Flynn was talking to Russia. Flynn did lie about that. You did fire him. So then to come now in front of Bibi at the press conference today and say he's this great person, I think that the missing piece there is Trump understands he's representing white nationalists. That's why Kellyanne retweeted a white nationalist yesterday on Twitter and told her Happy Valentine's Day. She got found out for it and she said, "Oh, my account was hacked." That's not to hear that because I really want to end with solutions because I know you're a solutions woman. You and I already. I just want to say this little piece right here. When we talk about blacks needing to operate from a position of true self-assessment and how that looks, I think a lot of people in the comments will say, well, how would reparations look? I would say it's important to take self-inventory for two main reasons. And the first one is we have to position ourselves within this society, not so much to blame, but to understand how it truly works so that we can be better positioned to ward off its effects. What I'm saying is study our situation, study exactly how this society and this system functions, not so we can say, you see what they're doing to us, but to say, okay, I've seen this before. I'm prepared for this. They're going this way. Let me position my way to pivot this way. And I think that's in line with what you're saying when you say, you just really have to understand what your interests are. What do you benefit? And so when I'm teaching students, I always tell them the best way to be critical is 4 questions you ask. Whatever you're looking at, if it's immigration, if it's economics, if it is, you always say when a policy is produced, who is benefiting, who doesn't, how, and why. You can ask those 4 questions every time. It sends you to research. Well, we're talking about immigration. Let me look at who benefits from this particular policy. Who doesn't? You're going to see time and time again black folks at the bottom.
Yeah,
okay?
I
who
agree.
Benefits, who doesn't, how, and why.
I agree.
And that's the reason we have to take on.
I think we can. No.
It's a delay.
I know, no.
Yeah,
it's not your fault. See, this is the thing. It's not your fault. I think we can leave it on that though. I think we can leave it on who benefits, how, and why. Carla. I think we can leave it on that. I want to thank you for that. But I think that can become part of our thing too. Who benefits, how, and why? She broke that down. That is the question that we need to be asking. Who benefits, how, and why? Ain't that what we need to be asking? And what she talked about was felons. Yeah. Felons can't live in a lot of these places. You know how many black men are felons?
Yeah, exactly. They're just trying to go back with their baby's mama. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just trying to go back with the women they with, so they got to be on their own. So that's how they end up homeless. How you think you see so many homeless black men? They can't go back to the girl they with. She might be on Section 8. She might be on welfare or whatever. I think that's crazy. First, you all are gonna leave my Kool-Aid cup alone, first of all, and then y'all keep asking where's Shirley. Shirley called in last week. Shirley can't be here every week. I'm gonna tell Shirley she got a lot of new fans though. she almost gave me a stroke, but she had apparently she got.
Okay. Woo. Yeah, I'm thinking about Shirley on Monday. All right. Next caller.
Yeah.
Hey, Yvette. Hi, Irony. This is Stacey from New York.
Hey.
You sounded so discouraged at the end of Monday's show.
Yeah.
And had I been able to call and speak to you, I might have changed that a little bit, and I hope this helps. But I was going to say to you on Monday, the secret password is confusion. And I'm going to begin with the words of Neely Fuller Jr. If you do not understand racism,
this is right. This is good.
White supremacy, what it is and how it works, everything you know will confuse you.
That's absolutely right.
And you're working to remove that confusion. I think you've been on long enough that most of us, those who would go back and listen to your previous show, understand what we're talking about. We have a different history in this country. We are in the wealthiest country that has ever existed on the face of the earth. Black people should be, and we should feel that we are side by side with white people. Everyone else is a newcomer and should take their place accordingly. And unless we feel that we deserve that place, we're going to continue to go down this path. You guys are approaching things from an economic and political position, and you're educating that way. You're educating us that way, and we need that. And I know you're working on solutions and an agenda. Not only are you talking the talk, but you are walking the walk.
Thank you.
I've contributed to your network. To Breaking Ground. I'm going to continue to do that, and I hope that most of the callers who can will do that. We've got your message. I've listened to a lot of people over many years. I've been a Pacifica BAI supporter for 30 years. They turn around, they talk about the legacy of slavery, and that slavery is a problem, but then they blame it on oligarchy. That's called confusion.
Yeah.
So what? Oligarchy has always existed. White people are doing pretty well in the oligarchic system. What about black people?
Yeah.
I don't want to wait on socialism. I don't want to wait on communism. The socialists and communists seem to be working pretty well in the capitalist system. They all seem to have gone that way. So keep bringing us your message. Try to help us stop being confused and come together and begin to have a cohesive message that we can bring to the powers that be.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that, and I appreciate the kind words too, Carla. I really do appreciate that. The key that she said is confusion, and I think she has a point about that. I think she has a point. She said the Neely Fuller quote. She said, "If you don't understand white supremacy and how it works, everything else you think you understand will confuse you. If you don't understand white supremacy and how it works, everything else you think you understand will confuse you."
So all these people walking around thinking they're post-racial.
They don't understand white supremacy.
So they're confused.
They are confused.
And they don't know why they're stressed out. They don't know why they're in pain.
They don't know why they're stressed out. They don't know why they're in pain. And they don't know why. Like, we look at stuff through an individual lens. And this white man, of a black man might look at a white man and be like, we both got 2 hands, 2 feet, and we got the same 24 hours in a day. Yeah, but you don't have the same legacy. You don't have the same lineage. His people weren't shut out during Jim Crow. When people see him, they just see a white man, so he has opportunity. They're willing to give him a chance. These are things you need to understand in terms of understanding how that works. And there's even some levels in terms of black people. Yeah. I would never, as a light-skinned person, tell you that colorism isn't real. Right? I would never tell you that, because there is cultural capital in society. So that matters. All of that matters.
There's a difference between, recent immigrant black people and like descendants of slaves.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a difference. We're not all black the same. We're not all black the same. If you and I go out, and the police see, you're more likely to get stopped than me. You're more likely to get stopped. A dark-skinned black man and a light-skinned black woman, there are differences that exist.
I look like someone who belongs in jail, because a lot of people in jail look like me.
Look like you.
Yeah, that's just how. Yeah. That's just how it is.
You, and I think she's right about something else. We have to lay our claim. We don't have to. I heard somebody tell me, I'm a refugee here in America. Well, it is true that this country may make you feel like a refugee, but you're not a refugee. Your people built this country, and the fact that you can't access that wealth means you have been robbed.
Yes.
People don't understand it. These people who have millions and millions of dollars and stuff like that, they robbed us of stuff that belongs to us. They robbed us. The dream that you can't make happen right now isn't because you can't do it. It's because somebody took it from you. Somebody took that from you. That would have been your opportunity if somebody hadn't stolen it. And once you understand that these people have taken from us, they have been thieves and stolen our futures.
And from us, because you should be able to make a mistake and then ask your cousin or ask your uncle, ask your friend.
Who friend? He broke too.
Yeah, but the problem is all of our people are broke.
But white people, even poor white people, don't live in a scenario where everybody they know is broke.
Unless you're in West Virginia.
You to West Virginia. That's the poorest. That's the poorest white people in the country.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, you know somebody. We don't know nobody.
Well, you know one person who's not taking your calls. Or like,
Yeah, who's just like, if you know one NBA player, he getting calls from everybody.
yeah.
So, I mean, it's just...
Yeah, it's your call. What do you want?
One more call.
Man,
We can do another.
Yeah. We're carrying a ton of people, so. And the calls have always been full. You. All right, caller, you're on.
Hello?
Hello?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Doing good. How about you?
Oh, man, you know what? I am blessed. You know, I'm living in Seattle. I know you don't so much Seattle phone calls. So I say, all right, let's get a new group. But I'm glad that you guys actually have this platform, especially for a brother like me, trying to preach the truth to my brothers and sisters. It got me worn out. The main reason I want to call you guys is I have an issue. Oh, yeah, by the way, my name is Brandon D.
Hey, Brandon.
What I really want to talk about is the new, this is what I call them, the new call black seed Africans, right? Most of them, and like I said, I really want to unite with everybody with having more of the Marcus Garvey mindset, but I realized a lot of the Africans, we watching the documentary at school, and a lot of them seen the documentary out at 13. And they seen all this struggle. Some of the Asians, they had a lot of Asians there. They were like, oh, man, they didn't know how bad it was. But the issue that I had was the new call Black Sea Africans, these Nigerians, these Somalians, they really didn't get it. They were like, oh, okay, well, they made like,
that's your problem.
It's almost the same. And this one sister, she don't think she was black. She said, I don't like to be considered black. I want to be considered as an other. So that's why I mark that other way. I don't identify, I don't know what African, Nigerian, it's are labels. I'm like, but that's what kind of smaller, that lessen our numbers when we want to vote. It's kind of like the electoral vote. When you put as an other or mix or whatever, or Latino and all this other stuff, that lessen our numbers. So people in the politicians, they won't cater to us because we see a small number. So I want to know, what can I do to actually try to help my community out? Because I'm getting worn out and stressed out dealing with some of these bootlickers. It's frustrating, Yvette.
Oh, thank you, Brandon. I appreciate it. You can start off.
Oh, so look, I have a little bit of, I think I have a clout on this because my dad came from Ghana, right? So the idea is, look, you don't come halfway across. You come to America to make a score. You come to America to make a score. You don't come halfway across the world to go and to assimilate with a losing team. And you come to America, you see who's winning, you see who's losing, and you see where you're going to get your money. Like, part of being an American isn't, unfortunately for the immigrant population, part of being an American isn't redressing America's debts to black people. Part of being an American is coming here to make a score. So there's no incentive for them to come here and then take up common cause with black people. In fact, there's all the incentive in the world to come here and just do whatever you can to make money off of white people. Because if you cared about poor black people, you would have stayed in your home country, where I'm sure there probably are a ton of poor black people. So that's... Yeah, so like assuming that recent immigrants are immediate allies, I think just pump your brakes a little bit. It's okay to have a few questions.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, my whole feeling is that we have to just start challenging people.
It's okay to challenge people.
We have to stop looking at everything through the lens of like complexion. There's a whole conversation going on YouTube right now about whether I'm mixed. Right? There's a whole conversation. I've said this 1,000 motherfucking times. I've said this 1,000 times.
We come from slaves.
If you go to my page, you can see both of my parents. Like, there's a picture of both my parents on my Facebook
I've
page.
seen both of them.
Jesus Christ. Like,
she looks like both of them, and they're both black.
Yeah, they're not dark black, but
they look like
black people.
They're southern black, which means they come from slaves.
Yeah, and it means it's a funny thing. Like, it's a funny thing. Like, my dad didn't know his dad, so I don't know what his dad was. But that was still, even if his dad happened to be white, like that would still make me 3/4 black, right? But the thing that black people do, they will support Obama, who was half white, and then come here and call me white. But you supported Obama. You loved Obama. He had one white parent. Neither one of my parents is black.
Neither one of your parents is white, you mean?
Yeah, white. Like, at the worst.
Right.
At the worst, my daddy might be mixed. Like, no. Let's say this. At the worst, my daddy might be Obama. That's the best way to put it.
No, Obama got inheritance.
Yeah, that's right. He wasn't Obama in terms of that, right? He wasn't Obama in terms of like possible. We don't even know if that's true.
No. We don't
even know if that's true. He's darker than me. Everybody in my family is darker than me. But that's how genetics works. Those white genes just float and they just jump out at you. They jump out at you at the oddest times. Like, you have a baby and you be like, who are you? Like, I never tell this story. But like, my mama, when she had me, she brought me, the nurse, like, the nurse brought her a baby. And, my mama's like light brown skin. So the nurse brought her a baby, and the baby was like a little dark skinned baby. Like, it was a baby like your color. My mom was like, that's not my baby. You know what I mean? Because, like, I'm lighter than my mama. I'm lighter than my daddy. But that doesn't mean my mama don't come from sharecroppers. Yeah. That doesn't mean my daddy didn't grow up black and discriminated against and missed out on opportunities. Like, but that's what happens when you view race through the lens of complexion. So you will look at Obama and say, well, Obama's darker than Yvette. So he must have had it worse than Yvette. And it's like, no, he doesn't have a history of my parents. No. He didn't go through what my parents went through.
His daddy's daddy knew his daddy. And, and his mama wasn't a sharecropper.
Somebody said, don't feed the trolls. I try not to feed the trolls. Because I tell y'all not to feed the trolls. I'm sorry. But it's just like, the reason I point this out, though, is not because of me, because I know who I am. Iron knows who I am. Those who you watch me who know who I am. But the reason I point this out is because I want to keep pointing out the problem with looking at solidarity and looking at and defining who we are and who we are in solidarity with through the lens of complexion.
Our partners are the ones who say, how are we going to get money to black people?
How are we going to get money in black people's
pockets? That's my partner.
And then it's just like what you just said about African immigrants, right? Like, you could be an African immigrant, you could be much darker than me. And you could be like, black African Americans are lazy.
Yes. I do not want to deal with these.
Because you're darker or you're dark skinned that you are necessarily an ally.
I do not like these American blacks.
Yeah, I do not like. They're just lazy. They could have done. They have opportunity, and I don't know why they do that.
I do not like these American blacks.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. Yeah. You have to view it through legacy. What is your legacy in this country? Is your legacy the same as my legacy? I mean, I know my lineage. Is your lineage the same as my lineage? Did we come through? Do we have the same feelings about what that means? Like, somehow people, and the thing about the white people who are in my gene pool, they never show up for the reunion. They never bring no wealth. They never give me no inheritance. I ain't never got no money. Wherever this skin color came from, I ain't never got nothing from it. But that's the legacy of being black in America. We're all, whether it's a bloodline, whether it's a bloodline like a grandparent or a great-great-great-grandparent, we'll never get none of it. We'll never get any of the wealth. Like, I don't care as long as I didn't get no people. Some people walk around, well, I'm happy about it. Well, I am half white. My people have this. Did you get any of the money? Don't tell me what you are and you have this. Did you get any of the white money that came with that? Because that's what white is supposed to mean. White people are supposed to mean, like, even poor white people are worth $10,000. You're supposed to get some inheritance. You're supposed to get something that comes with that. What comes with it? Nothing.
Yeah.
But you love Obama, though. He's true.
Yeah, because Obama wasn't about putting money in black people's pockets either.
Yeah, he got inheritance. He got $500,000 or something like that. I ain't never seen that kind of money. You ever seen that kind of money?
No.
I'll tell you the truth. People crazy.
People like to talk, but I do not know one Negro who's actually seen that kind of money. $500,000 just like boop in your pocket, in your bank account. No, not the black people I know, and I suspect not the black people you know either.
Somebody say it's the curse. So, but I just want everybody to start looking at your community through the lens of lineage, as opposed to the lens of like, ooh, a dark skinned person. So
we're carrying a ton of people, so it's your turn.
No, we could go. We fine. Right, so everybody, thank you. Subscribe. I want to thank you all. I want to thank you all for being here, because I know this was a problem tonight. We had some technical difficulties. Thank you for sticking with us. Share it, like it, do all that good stuff. I really appreciate it.
Look, the bigger we get, the more we can do. So subscribe. Tell your friends. This is the best black politics on the internet. Maybe like in media. Who knows?
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. Stop fighting. fighting. I'm looking at the comments. Stop